Hello, everyone, and welcome to AIW's The Card is Going to Change, brought to you by Smart Mark Video. Angelo's Pizza. Make sure you try the award-winning Angelo's Pizza on Madison Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio. And Jack Prince. For all your printing, logo, sign, graphic, and apparel needs, check out Jack Prince at jackprince.com.
Hey, guys.
Welcome back to the podcast
We're coming to you live.
from the studio
Apartment.
in Chicago, Illinois.
And we're joined with a very, very special guest, the owner of that apartment, Mr. Colt Cabana. I'm taken back by all this memorabilia. This is like one of the most famous wrestling homes of all time.
This is sensory overload.
Is that real? You guys are taken back by this?
Dude, I was so nervous on the way here.
This is my stuff. I try to, I don't go crazy. I don't have like Chris Hero style everything up here, but
He buys merch off eBay, off my eBay store. So.
that's what I hear. But I find stuff. There's some stuff over here. I stole that from well, I won't say where I stole that from, but that little Inoki creature there, that's mine.
Allegedly stole that.
Yeah, and there's a Rollerball Rocco headband signed to me. That's over there, hidden behind all these T-shirts. Over there, there's the Hulk Hogan and Terry Funk EP or
The unboxing area.
yeah. Oh yeah, I guess people have seen that. So this is my home, and if you watched Wrestling Road Diaries 3, you do. It was the first time I ever really let anybody in here. I haven't let anybody like really into my apartment in terms of filming it and seeing it. But I was like, you know what? For the movie, let's
We wanted to come in here like with cameras rolling, like
MTV Cribs.
indie crib style.
Indie Cribs. Well,
We wanted to. I mean, I saw it in the Wrestling Road Diaries 3, but still, I was just like, "Where's that 1-2-3 Kid single at?" Like, I'm looking around for all these different things. Like, it's like a museum almost.
Can we take a mark pick with us in the unboxing area and I play the role of Marty DeRosa?
sure,
Cardboard Daddies.
of course.
Biggins loves the.
I love those
unboxing videos.
unboxing videos.
Are you a cardboard daddy?
I'm a dabbler.
He's a dabbler. We tried to get that unboxing thing going, and it didn't work. We only got one box.
Well, we had the Weird World doing it.
Well, that's kind of you don't have the charisma of a Colt Cabana and Marty DeRosa.
They lit the box on fire, so that probably offended some of the people. But we are here to talk about the Wrestling Road Diaries. One of probably our most proudest accomplishments is being featured in all three of them. Really, that's something that I think Biggins and myself both are take great pride in being in all three of those documentaries.
So when I have an idea and I have the groups, the first one was me, Brian, and Sal, and then the second one was me, Luke, and Cliff, and then me, Kiku, and Grado. Like it's always three kind of like higher tier guys, if you will. So it's hard to go to people and say, hey, are you we're trying to make this thing? Are you willing to kind of dish out some money? It's not that much because we want to make sure it's enough. Or we want to make sure that the promotions will pay for it. But I feel that you guys are the only smart ones to realize, we want to be on it. We don't really care.
Yeah, we want that exposure.
Well,
However, we did have to pay Luke Gallows his full rate still for.
No, you didn't.
Oh yeah,
It's pretty high. Because I remember you called me at a Walmart and you're like, hey, I know we talked about me and Cliff, but we had a Luke Gallows and he's going to be a little steeper than me and Cliff.
No, I'm just saying that he ended up not being able to wrestle, but we still paid him his full.
Yeah, he might have charged you deep for a different show that he was on, but
That was the only time we ever booked him.
well, because I paid them all. I remember I was the manager and I paid them all for the film.
Yeah, you just collected the one-time fee, but you said
Right.
Luke
And every
Luke
time-
Gallows is driving a hard bargain to get this movie made.
Right.
And every time the price has gone up, 1, 2, 3, it's gone up.
has it?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little
Well,
bit.
this time I flew in guys from fucking Japan and Scotland.
Hey, I don't care. We'll take it. We'll pay whatever it fucking costs.
And all right, and I was essentially paying. I paid the flight, which was they were each about $1,000.
Oh, we know.
we know the
Yeah,
Grado
you know.
flight.
We know about the Grado flights for sure.
So, and you definitely did. I don't even think you paid that for all three of us. So, in saying that, yes. But the point is that you guys are quick to jump on it.
Oh,
100%.
especially around the time of the first one, because we were just kind of dabbling on the edge of getting some notoriety, but still nowhere fucking near where we wanted to be, or just as a promotion, still learning and growing, and we wanted to jump. I remember you presented us with the idea when in the house I used to live in the basement. You were just like, we were like, man, one day we want to get Bryan Danielson.
Because I think we were like, how do we get the American Dragon?
Because like he was kind of like, if you didn't know him, like he didn't really have like
he wouldn't respond to our MySpace messages.
Yeah, like it was like MySpace. It's just like he's not responding to our MySpace messages, and that at that time, fuck. I mean, doesn't even seem like it was that long ago. But
Yeah, but I don't think
he didn't really do much.
And he also, I don't think he had a real email that was out there. I guess
Yeah.
MySpace was the only way to get.
Well,
to
and
him.
that's what we're saying is like unless you like physically like met him or knew him or like somebody set you up with him, like he wasn't gonna take a booking, and he was so busy with international and like ROH and shit. And one day we were just like, man, how do we get the fucking American Dragon? And you're like. You told us like just so nonchalantly. You're like, you'll get him one day. I'll make sure it happens. And then like, you're like, I have this fucking really crazy idea, and you presented it like you told us about it, but it was like just kind of like in a passing thing. It wasn't set up. And then all of a sudden, I think you called me at like 2:00 in the morning. You're like, hey, I need you to have a show on a Thursday.
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, you guys just said you did the show.
Yeah, we're like,
we agreed to the show before we had anything.
Yeah, we said
set.
we'll say like you're like I'm gonna make this happen, and we're like we'll do any day that you need to get in the movie, and you're like you need to do a show on a Thursday night.
Do you remember my schedule from the first one more than I do? What did we do Wednesday?
I think you did a clinic somewhere.
Was that the first show that we? Oh, because you were in the middle of the week.
So I don't even know if you remember this. I was supposed to film you guys.
Yes.
And I couldn't do it because I was in a wedding, and you had that English John guy come over.
So do you know he's like YouTube famous now?
Really?
Like viral?
The guy who filmed the Wrestling Road Diaries 1, I recently just found this out. His name is John Atkins, and he's known on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter as the ukulele guy. He's I'm sorry.
And see, I would think he would be known as the guy who eats saltine crackers real fast.
Oh, did he win the? Oh,
Yeah, he
at
won the
restaurant.
contest.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm saying sorry, the ukulele teacher.
Oh, so he does like how to play the ukulele.
And I recently looked up his stuff, and he had a couple videos that had like 2 million.
Man, he's probably
2
fucking
million
rich.
hits. Yeah.
Yeah.
He moved to Los Angeles. I think he's working just on YouTube money.
So I remember, like, at the time, I did not have a job. I didn't have shit to do. And you're like, hey, you got a camera? You want to film me? And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, here are the dates. And I was like, literally, the only fucking thing I have to do in my life is that Friday, I'm the best man in a wedding. And I considered not doing it.
And you already have all that like documentary experience with Colt with the gathering of the Juggalos.
I think that this was before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Here's my question. Are they still married?
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen him since the fucking wedding, to be
never
honest.
have.
Like, he got married and he fucking disappeared. First AIW champion, the Thrillbilly. Shout out.
Whatever happened to that? Have we ever talked about the the gathering of the Juggalos stuff?
No.
I
like-
mean, we talked about Tea the Tequila on the podcast, but
I still have that private
Did you
trailer.
film it?
Yeah, I filmed it.
Were you supposed to put something together?
he edited the whole thing.
I edited I gave you the tapes. You have the tapes.
Yeah, but you never edited like a whole piece together.
No. You said you were
And
going
that's
to
why
give
you're
it.
dead to me.
You said you were give you the tapes. You were going to give it to your guy, and then something never came about.
I don't think. Yeah.
I made a trailer for you. And
Did
then,
you?
Yeah, it's private still on the AIW YouTube. It's like a trailer of coming soon, and it's just like clips together of the whole Gathering of the Juggalos thing, and then you're like, okay, now give me the tapes, and I'm gonna have my editor do it.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I was like, and I
neither the $10,000 for Tea the Tequila footage.
oh, that's a whole nother story.
Oh my.
I mean,
God.
we told the story on the podcast.
Yeah.
Necro Butcher didn't want to go home.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I was supposed to tape. I was fucking pissed that I couldn't do it. You guys actually started at my house. You and John Atkins came and stayed the night on like a Monday at my place, driving. Maybe you were driving. I don't know where you guys were
No, it was
driving.
probably a Thursday or Wednesday because we were probably going to Ring of Honor, and then that's when.
Oh, yeah, you were gonna
made
start?
we Ring of Honor on the weekend, and then we made our way through the Midwest.
Yeah.
And you were one of the Midwest shows.
You guys started at my place. You're like, okay, we're going here, probably to Ring of Honor, and then I don't know. I know you guys had a clinic set up, and then we had to have a show on a Thursday night, and then you guys were gonna go do Brian's last Ring of Honor weekend in New York, I think. And we were like, fuck it, yeah, man, we'll do it. We'll do a show any day. And then we couldn't fucking find a venue to do a show. So Drew Cordero from Beyond Wrestling worked at this haunted house.
Yeah.
This year-round haunted house the Ghostly Manor Thrill Center in Sandusky, Ohio. But they had been doing other indie shows there with this company that doesn't even exist anymore. And the deal is they would allow us to do a show there, but it had to be 5 AIW matches and 5 matches from that other promotion. And we're like, fuck it, we only need 3 matches.
Oh, okay.
So like, and then it went back and forth. Like they would do a match, and then we would do a match. So and that's why like our DVD.
We sent like employees of AIW or staff or whatever to make sure they didn't tape your guys' matches. Like, we were like, we have the rights to the Road Diaries.
Yeah, it was really weird because like working with other wrestling promoters is like fucking like difficult as it is, and plus the place was paying us. Like they gave us like a flat fee that we had to split. So like
really,
yeah, like Drew Cordero set this whole thing up because we couldn't find a venue anywhere in Cleveland. It was in Sandusky, Ohio.
You couldn't find a venue, and then all of a sudden on left field you just get a sold show.
Well, no, like we knew that place had been buying shows from another promotion, and we knew that Drew worked there. So we're like, hey, Drew, like what kind of deal can you get us for this? And he's like, oh fuck, man, this would be great for this place to get that, because he was like the publicity manager or some shit.
Was there any other? So the one crazy match out of that one was Bryan Danielson versus Johnny Gargano, right?
Yeah, and you wrestled Jimmy DeMarco,
yes.
And then Sal Rinauro was in like
scramble.
He wrestled like Benny Boone. And, like,
I was gonna say, was there anyone else that like came up like that was like really young on that card? Because in 2009, that is like.
I mean, maybe Greg Iron might have been
Duke,
there.
the youngster, the upstart,
the youngster Duke. Like the big match, the big money match we knew was going to be Gargano, who was virtually still kind of an unknown at that time, against Bryan Danielson. And Gargano, told the story on our podcast before, but that's the first time that nobody would ever call anything with him. He said, like, Dragon was just like, kind of see out there, kid.
Yeah.
And he was like shitting his fucking pants.
Which is funny because to Brian, like that show was a very minor show for him.
Yeah,
for all of us, it was just like, let's just have fun. And it's kind of funny to see the difference between him. That's where he was in his career. It was just like, I just want to have fun. And Johnny was probably like, this is the biggest match of my career.
At that point, that was the biggest match he ever had.
It was probably the biggest match. It's still at this point right now.
Well, we brought it back, and they did it again, like after he got fired for the tie thing. But yeah, he was like. And then he goes out and he wrestles with like his ass out for like 25 straight minutes.
Did, right?
Yeah, Brian did. And fucking like the venue who's fucking like agreed to have us there are like the dude is like losing his mind because like there's children in the crowd and Bryan Danielson is running around with his ass out. And so, like I'm getting screamed at. I'm like, fuck it, man. Like I'm gonna be in a movie. Like I don't give a shit.
Yeah, we already got paid.
Yeah, and we're just like we're never coming back to this fucking place ever again. Like we only worked out this deal to get in the Wrestling Road Diaries,
and it happened, and yeah, that was a fun part. I think a lot of people remember me flirting with that girl from the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And like I was like, in a perfect world that wouldn't have been kept in, but Eric Santa Maria, who made the movie 2 hours and 45 minutes, kind of against my discretion. Like I was kind of like, can we make this an hour and a half? And he's like, no, wrestling fans like 3-hour stuff. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get a 2 hour.
It's like an indie. Minutes. It's like an indie show DVD.
Yeah, he wanted. In his head, it was like a shoot interview, but just like a giant. So I mean, it's so long, but I mean, I guess if you're a fan, like that's even better.
Plus the extras. And now this is one thing that I'll never forget because, like I said, we didn't really know Bryan Danielson at all. Never heard anything about him. Never
heard anything about him.
Like I mean, not like how he was as a person, just like how he was like. Just like what you saw, how he was presented in like Ring of Honor. That's all. That's all we really knew. And I remember you were just like, "Hey man, I got this good bit for the movie." You're like, "I want you to go up and tell Brian that you can't pay him." And I'm like, fucking pissing my pants. I'm just like, this guy is gonna fucking kill me. And like, I couldn't pull it off with a straight face because I was fucking scared that he was gonna fucking beat the shit out of me live on camera, and that was gonna be my eternal legacy in a movie.
You were gonna get the shit beat out of you, and you had a red mohawk like Terry Taylor.
Well, that's because I was pissed about that dude that got married, and I wanted to ruin his wedding because I couldn't be the Road Diaries.
Was he upset about your mohawk?
Well, so yeah, I went to the rehearsal dinner looking normal, and then. At wedding day in the church, I had a pink mohawk and a handlebar Hulk Hogan mustache.
Jesus Christ.
I had to get my revenge somehow, man.
Well, you lost the job. John Atkins got it and then became the ukulele teacher on YouTube.
And now he's probably doing way better with me. He probably just put filmed the Wrestling Road Diaries 1 on his resume, and he's fucking in L.A. doing it right now.
He's making it happen. You poor thing. But
I know.
yeah. So that was the first one.
Well, before this, we have a historic moment in the life of Colt Cabana and Absolute Intense Wrestling.
Okay.
You called Thorne one night and you're like, "Hey man, like, do you think like if I put up like an hour like audio thing for free every week, like,
Yeah, do you
that would
remember
be a
this?
thing?"
This is another. You would call me at like 3 o'clock in the morning with these fucking weird.
You'd have a brainstorm and call Thorne
because you knew I didn't have a job, and you called me at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll never forget. And you're like, I didn't even know what a podcast was.
I remember
because you're like because we did your shoot interview and stuff, and you're like, can you guys figure out how to do this for me? And I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that is, man.
Oh, I do kind of remember that.
You're
now.
like, you think you guys could fucking get together and figure out how to fucking make a podcast? And I was like, dude,
what is a podcast?
I go, who the fuck is gonna listen to you talk to people for an hour? Like, what are you talking about?
And it all comes full circle. You give us everything.
Man, was I fucking?
I remember telling Jimmy Jacobs, like, I remember being at, like, it was like Mike Ditka's restaurant. Somehow Ian Rotten got Mike Ditka's restaurant to wrestle there, or like Gail Sayers, one of the old Chicago Bears restaurant, and he was wrestling there. I remember like Jimmy Jacobs and I were sitting there at the gimmick table, hating our lives because we were both broke and fucking pathetic. And I was like telling him the big plan, and he was just like, "I guess." I was
yeah,
like, "No,
like
it's
I
gonna
didn't
be
see
great."
it. Like I was just like, because I mean, you knew about the podcast world, like, and through comedians and things like that. That was a world I knew nothing about. Like,
Yeah, because me and him like talked about it between ourselves, and we're like, "What do you mean like an hour a week? Nobody's gonna do that."
yeah, like it just seemed like such a hassle.
And then like everybody has like 300 podcasts a week now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate you guys helping me out with that.
I mean,
Yeah.
we said I don't know how to fucking do that.
I think it was because you guys, you knew what you were doing. I saw you guys knew what you were doing editing with video. So I was like, I needed to learn how to edit with audio.
Yeah, because like I think like the story was like you got off of WWE, we booked you, and the thing was you were thinking about doing the shoot interview.
Oh yeah, I think like maybe like RF or something had contacted you, and you're like, yeah, I'm getting all these shoot interview contacts. I was like, dude, like, why don't you just make it yourself and make all that money? And you're like, all right.
I think I said that to myself.
No, I said
I don't know.
I'm
if you
taking
said
credit.
that
I'm
to
taking
me.
credit. You were gonna do the RF thing.
Not it. I know.
That was
I know I wasn't.
That was
gonna
my
do that
or
one.
not maybe not RF, but maybe like a high spots one or something.
Yeah, but
because I pitched that and I
No.
said, why don't we do this for you for in exchange for some booking?
that was the agreement. But I know right away I wanted to.
I'm taking credit.
I wanted to put out my
I'm
own
taking-
shoot interview.
So far,
I'm taking credit
so
for
far,
everything.
The Road Diaries thanks to AIW. The Art of Wrestling thanks to AIW. The Career After WWE thanks to AIW.
Taking credit for
You
it.
guys, I owe my whole life to you guys.
I can't. That's how it goes. It's our podcast.
Yeah, do you know about podcasts, Colt?
No.
I was gonna say, we're a podcast. We're a journal, an entryway into the lives, souls, the minds of professional wrestlers.
This is so uncomfortable.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah. Wait till the end.
But yeah,
yeah, and you know what, Biggins, if you want to advertise on AIW podcast, you can.
Yes. Highspots.com, bongosocks.com, Bomba Socks.
dude, don't you watch Shark Tank, dude? Damon John, dude.
Pro Wrestling Tees powered by
I
onehourtees.com.
said OneWrestling.com.
I know.
We don't want to
to-
give. We don't want to give them any credit.
But yeah. So anyway, before
Do you
Biggins goes
remember
off
when
on-
you were a child and you traded Topps cards? Well, now we got the Topps Trader app.
Poor Tops doesn't advertise with
Dude,
me.
now
anymore.
do you
That was
understand?
the best.
Now do you understand why him and Grado are fucking best friends on the internet?
HuluPlus.com / Colt.
They just vox each other this shit like they're
all day, all day.
I love it.
Highspots.com. And I got to see a Smart Mark video so Burns doesn't get mad.
it's in the fucking it's in the disclaimer or whatever.
So High Spots was the first one to hit me up. Like after the first one, they're like, we want to advertise, and they're grandfathered into this wonderful rate because the rates are high these days over at the Art of Wrestling. But I remember like Smart Mark being like, "Can we advertise too?" And I was just like, "Well, here's my ad rates," and he was like, "Oh my god."
Oh yeah.
That's why he sponsors our podcast.
Yeah.
Our rates are much lower.
And like
Virtually free.
It's so weird because everybody in wrestling gets offended by it because everyone in wrestling is a cheap piece of shit. That's not a rip on Smart Mark, but like
That's just the wrestling way.
that's the wrestling culture. Of
I mean
course.
that's how
You just got to like bring you down, bring you
that's-
down, bring you down.
That's how we do everything. Like, these people like come to us with these ideas and these presentations, and they come from like the world where you get paid for everything. Like these other like film crews will come and be like, I could bring a boom mic and this and that, and, set you up and be like, it's the price of like our entire shoot. Or we could be like, no, well, this guy will come and he'll commentate for free because of this. And
Right.
it's like, it's all about like the barter system and like.
But I'm the other way around because
Well,
these
right,
guys are coming to
you've
me. Yeah.
you've like flipped the script because you've turned it into such a business outside of just the wrestling world.
So when, like 54club.com and Hulu and Bombas, they're
These
like
are giant corporations.
that have money and
Colt,
advertising
do
budget.
you ever gamble? Because you could go to DraftKings.com/Colt.
Oh, they gave me so much money. It was so great. So great.
Grado said, "Fuck DraftKings" on our show.
Oh, well, they don't advertise anymore, so.
Yeah, fuck them, man. They don't advertise on us either. But anyway, back to the fucking Wrestling Road Diaries. We got
off topic. there.
Biggins takes you around. This is usually how the show goes. Is Biggins takes it way far out in the fucking left field on something.
It's okay.
But yeah,
Listen to every episode, so
Of your own podcast?
no, of yours.
No.
boy, and of our own.
Yeah, I do listen to every.
Now
week.
that I have to edit them, I finally have to start listening to them. I kind of hate it. But I don't like my own voice. I don't know.
Did we finish the first one? Is there anything else left on that first one?
I mean, as far as just the whole setup of it all, we did it we did it an hour and a half outside of Cleveland, and we still were able to draw fans out there based on what it was, because we were advertising this. This is going to be a movie, and whatever it is. It had to have been probably MySpace at the time, almost comparing it. I know that we were comparing it to like, this is going to be like the modern day Beyond the Mat. Everyone come out and be in this movie.
I think that's another reason why we jump on being a part of these so much is because the three of us are probably the world's biggest Beyond the Mat fans. Like,
Yeah.
how quick did we say yes when you're like, we got Dennis Stamp?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what was cool about it for me is like I feel like Beyond the Mat is probably like one of the greatest movies period of all time, not just wrestling related. So there hasn't been anything really like that since. So when you're like, I want to make a wrestling documentary, I want to do a cool different wrestling documentary focusing on independent wrestling, which independent wrestling is what I fucking love. Like that's like my entire teenage existence through being a fucking adult. So when you take those two things, because Beyond the Mat was cool because it was kind of like focusing on like the WWF and ECW, but when you kind of take when you present this to me, it's just kind of like I'm envisioning Beyond the Mat, but like going to fucking like bingo halls and
Yeah.
VFW
Well,
halls.
The only other, I was trying to think of independent stuff, and you guys probably know, I was looking back. I think I said this on the Torch Talk, was like that Louis Theroux's. Do you know that one? Where,
Yeah, kind of.
So he goes and he looks at WCW and the power plant, but then he also looks at this other really shitty
like wrestling school.
Yeah, North Carolina, where they're doing hardcore wrestling, and and the guys, he works at like a Midas, and he's doing chin ups at the while they're doing an oil change. And,
Talking about his big booking coming up.
yeah, and he's getting hit with he's like someone's hitting him with like a pan to practice getting hit.
I think it's on YouTube. I think I might have watched this
Yeah, because I didn't know about it, and you wised me up to it.
And I don't know what other ones that had an insight to the independent world.
Besides like a UPW one.
Well, I take that back. True Life, MTV.
Oh yeah, Rory Fox
Lex
special
which
Satchel.
delivery.
everyone loved that one.
And then there was
and Tony Atlas and the Cellar Phone and
then there was
Joey
like
Gamache.
there was like maybe the Learning Channel or whatever, the Rick Bassman one, because I remember
Well, there was a couple Rick Bassman.
because I remember going back to the Gathering of the Juggalos thing that didn't get released is we were watching Tito Tequila get fucking destroyed by rocks, and it's like me, you, Chris Hero, Ariara Davari, Sean Davari, and Rick fucking Bassman.
Yeah.
And Rick Bassman goes, "Come on, guys, let's go fucking save her!" And like he runs off into the crowd of Juggalos, and none of us followed him. And like that, for all I know, he got fucking destroyed by people. But I was just like, that's fucking Rick Bassman from every fucking DVD and Suncoast video for my teenage years.
Yeah, and so after that, there wasn't anything. So that was one of my big goals, is to have our generations be on the mat or whatnot.
And like the one thing with us is like, we get approached all the time for like projects, and we trusted you to like, not bury it like, oh, independent wrestling's bullshit.
And plus, like, we trusted you that you would actually get it done, especially at where we were at in AIW, maybe, I don't know, 5 years in, I'm not sure. But like, people would always come and they'd be like, I got this fucking idea. But it was like, always like an idea to like get them involved in wrestling on the creative team or something. You know, like, I got this camera, man. I'm gonna make these documentary, and then it's just like, where's your camera? It's like, oh man, I'm just here to hang out. But like we knew like you were gonna like
make it a legit.
It's
thing.
gonna be like, you know, a legit project that was gonna get done. And then I remember just waiting.
Were you scared? I was gonna say, were you scared when it didn't come out for a year and a half?
I mean, I knew that it would come out, but I was anxious for it to come out. You know what I mean? Because it was just like I had no fear or whatever. I just wanted to see the finished product because like I knew that like there was some good stuff from when you did AIW, but like, you know, the fan of me or whatever, I wanted to see the whole fucking experience. You know, especially like this, you know, knowing the story that, you know, Brian went, and then you know, I think he might have gotten fired by the time it came out.
Yeah, or like. Yeah, I think by the time that came out, I think he had been fired.
Yeah, so like I just wanted to see it, and I remember when it finally came out, I think was at a King of Trios weekend, or close to a King of Trios weekend. It was one of the first weekends, and I remember like I was just like, holy shit! Like this dude probably just sold fucking 1,000 copies of this fucking thing.
Yeah, dude, they were flying off the like just at the live shows, and that was like. You know, when I was at the merch table, nobody else was really at the merch table. Now it's kind of a whole different ballgame.
Like, I'll stick by, like, even, you know, in today's day and age, like, a lot of people are saying, like, DVDs are going out or whatever. I think, like, people still love physical media, and they love having something to hold.
Yeah, so that's a hard decision, too, of, like, whether I should have, like, done just digital or whatever. But I think these are kind of collector's items.
Well,
like,
yeah, I think
for sure.
I think people love getting things in the mail.
And I think people love going to a show and coming home and being like, I got this at the show tonight. Like, you're not going to be able to sell a flash drive to some kid, you know?
Well, that was another option I had was like my buddy Brendan Burns sells these like card flash drives that are pretty cool. And I was thinking, oh, maybe that's the future of like.
I mean, I think maybe, but I don't think we're there yet. You know,
there's gonna be some device that's like that looks like. Because the idea of like, hey, here's this DVD case for $20 and it's a big thing, and then like it's just selling a little thing and being like, this is $20, I'd be like, that's not $20.
Yeah, like that's that's kind of like the you got to figure that out. Like, can you really charge $20 for that? Like, I feel like when we get to that point, like the cost and things are gonna go way down. But
because I mean, look at the effect like the network and stuff has already had on just business in general. Like, it's floated down to the independents, I think. And, I mean, we could go off topic for 4 hours about the business of pro wrestling. But
I haven't gotten a call from Flow Slam for my DVD.
Neither have we, and they mentioned us in every interview.
Man, they keep dropping our name, man. I'm trying to get a 7-figure deal.
I want to change my life.
Yeah, I need a life-changing deal.
I want to retire.
That was what
you are fucking retired.
Oh, yeah.
You're a professional eBayer right now.
Hey, man, Chris Hero wants to buy a bunch of stuff. Wait till I fucking start fleecing this apartment.
Hey, stop it. Oh, I do have some stuff for you, actually.
Oh, yeah, see? I said,
when we're driving up here, I bet you you're going to leave with every fucking book he's ever got in the mail.
Oh, yeah. You could probably, you could take these old DVDs, actually. I don't want them anymore.
Oh, I'll take them all. My house looks like my house is just ridiculous. It's just covered in wrestling merchandise, all with price tags on them.
Yeah, this is what he's turned into. He just does eBay now.
eBay and AIW.
Well, we're in Chicago. We're in Chicago for Shimmer Weekend, and Weird Body looked through my bags in the hotel room, and it's just loaded with. I got Torrie Wilson halter top trading cards.
You know your audience.
I got a little bit of everything. I got Japanese magazines. I'm a hustler.
But I think to get it back on the fucking tracks,
it's a personal journal in my eBay world.
Like I think once it came out, that was I think everybody can agree that's probably one of the best wrestling documentaries that's ever been put together. And I'm kind of shocked that it didn't. Like I know, like you signed that deal that didn't go anywhere or whatever.
Yeah, with Jamie Kennedy, I signed a deal with Jamie Kennedy to. I think basically he would be the production house or whatever, and he would get it on Netflix and that kind of stuff. And he was going to re-edit it, and he really flaked and was really sad. And, that was all through Stu Stone, my buddy. Stu Stone had a TV show with Jamie Kennedy on MTV, and that was his friend. And, just nothing ever came of it. And I think it was his loss, but it's weird because it hasn't been on
It's
HBO.
never hit that, like, mainstream.
It hasn't been on anything.
But I think that, that's kind of, like, goes back to, like, probably, like, the romantic thing that is independent wrestling,
that's
is you.
The cool thing.
Is, like, I know it's hugely successful, but it's still kind of in that underground,
Very much so.
like category. So I guess
It's almost like back in the day when you would have like a VHS tape and you would be like, oh my God, did you see this documentary? Like, it kind of like goes around like
literally
like
the only
whispers.
place you can get it is on my personal website, and that's the same thing with these movies. Like there's floating out there, but like that's where you buy it is just my personal website, not Amazon, not Walmart, not
Technically,
Blockbuster.
Colt Merch was my personal website until
Ooh,
about a
there
month
you
ago. Big reveal.
going back to how we helped Colt Cabana out.
Colt Cabana,
That's
we helped
right.
you launch ColtMerch.com, and it was my personal website until a month ago.
I had to take it
You got to
back.
get that Road Diaries 3 stuff ready
I
to
had
go.
to get it all getting ready.
And how long it took you? About 6 months to get Biggins to turn it over because he kept forgetting to log on.
Well, you keep on forgetting to send me my.
No, we did it.
You did?
Yeah,
I sent you your MP4.
he sent it in the secret group. Talking shit part 2.
Oh, I don't know if I got that.
You're on a
you gotta
Google
scroll.
Drive. I'll send it
You
again.
gotta scroll way up.
Yeah, I might have to.
I said, hey, Cabana, here's your MP4s. You go, thanks.
I think I was on the road though. So
Actually,
it
you
was
said, thanks.
hard. So the second one helped
Yeah.
you move this along.
Yeah, thank you.
See,
This is how you podcast.
this is how you gotta reel him back in.
I've
Now imagine me and a drunk Grado and him trying to reel it in.
was me. Yeah. So
How many years after was it?
I think it was 2013. So the first one was 2009. So maybe 4 years.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. Fuck.
4 or 5 years. I think because it came out in 2014.
See, like in my head, it's like back to back. You know what I mean?
No way. Because I had to once it came out for sale, I had to milk it for a while, and then once I realized, all right, sales are going down,
It's time to make a new one.
I need a new one. Yeah, we made the second one, which was myself, Luke Gallows, and Cliff Compton, and Cliff was, I think, at the because 2014, like I don't think when did Austin's podcast start? 2014 maybe.
Yeah, not that. Maybe 14.
So
yeah,
like mine
14.
was legitimately the only one, and Cliff Compton had all of a sudden become like the star based off of the
Dude,
story.
I remember like I could have gave a fuck about whoever Cliff Compton was until I hear this fucking story. Because like you just look at like you're watching WWE programming, and it's that's just another guy. You know what I mean? You don't know anything about him. Like
He's
unless
a
you
generic
want
greaser.
Yeah, unless you want to book like WWE's former superstar Domino, like
Or the imposter Domino.
which is like not what we were trying to do at the time. You know what I mean? So like, Cliff Compton was not even on our fucking radar.
I don't think anybody knew his personality except for like the people like you that knew him.
Yeah, like except for guys that
Same with Gallows.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, exactly.
Like, and when Cliff does that fucking podcast, the Nigerian podcast, I'm just like, holy shit, this is the fucking best dude ever. Like, I want to hang out with this dude.
Now available at howl.fm, free month with Colt.
Thank you. /Colt
/Colt.
is the page. Code. Yeah, the code is Colt. But yeah, we had done one before, and I think he was like, all right, because I was gonna say he's obviously at number 18, episode 18, and
59, by the way.
well, I was gonna say because he kind of started to blow up on 59 because 18, I was only 18 episodes deep, and it, I understood what the podcast would be, but I don't think.
I think he was just, like, kind of like being like I don't know if he was nervous,
No,
but he
I
was
don't think a
thinking,
lot
like,
of people were listening yet.
I don't know. I
what-
mean, you would know that. You would know
Yeah.
that better than anybody would.
Totally kind of related, but kind of off topic. What was the week where you're like, holy shit, this is like a phenomenon?
Well, I didn't know my numbers for a while because I had Cable Guy Jeff doing my numbers, so I really didn't even know. I was just putting it out. But I mean, I think it was when I started going to shows and people started lining up and buying merch and telling me they love my podcast. I mean, so that was
See, I like to bring this full circle. I knew that it was way big at that Wrestling Road Diaries 2 taping because that was like we were drawing like fucking shit like at the time, and that's our first show that we did in Turner's Hall. That's
We
right.
didn't even have a venue when I think we booked you.
Yeah, same thing as like we were trying to find a venue again because we had lost wherever we were doing shows that I can't even remember right now.
A little church.
And
period.
I had to go in and I had to do this fucking presentation with the Turner's Hall
They
board.
had banned wrestling for 5 years.
And I remember we locked it down and we were like, okay, I think it was like March 18th. March 18th is the date. We already had everything booked.
that was the first show back to Turner's Hall.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we didn't know what the fuck was going to happen because like Cleveland goes so far up and down with like the draws and how many promotions are running or in business or whatever. So we were like, fuck, man, like we're going to figure this out. We were going to figure out this money, whatever. Like we're back. We got wrestling back in Turner's Hall. And then I remember like they fucking ran out of chairs. And they were going upstairs through the abandoned rooms, and they were bringing down like lawn chairs and fucking plastic chairs and like.
They went out like to the front like area where they had like a picnic area and bringing in plastic picnic chairs.
Yeah, like, and I was like, fuck, man, I think that podcast is really fucking hitting now.
Right, yeah, and that's what happened was just I saw people coming to the shows and I saw it was working and buying T-shirts, and so it just like there's all of a sudden this more organic. Like I was finding more organic love towards me than I had ever seen before, and that was something early on in independence that like I was for some reason I was a guy that people kind of gravitated to on the independence fans wise, but at that point like 2013 or whatever, when I'd been going for a while, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before, and it was cool, man. It was real cool, and it was like, and I say this to other people like in WWE, like you really don't like. I don't know, like it's just like these are fake. These are just fans of a product who like they
right.
they
And
happen
like
to like
you don't get that like have that moment. You know what I mean? Like even like at a WWE like autograph signing, it's just like it's like a it's like a conveyor belt. You know what I
Right.
mean? Sign autograph, see you later. Sign autograph. Like independent wrestling is like such an intimate experience. I think that's what I have always loved about independent wrestling is like. You're right there, like I'll never forget fucking being 13 years old and the fucking one of the bushwhackers licked my fucking head and I was like, man, this is fucking
You
sweet.
mean tugboat do the choo choo?
Yeah, dude.
And now you've got hepatitis.
Yeah, probably do, but fuck, man. I got a Polaroid picture with the pit bulls that day too.
Oh, my Polaroid camera's right up there in the closet or in the
I'm telling
the
you, man, this
cabinet.
place is a
Let me
museum,
toss that on
dude.
eBay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew that right. I knew at that show like. Fuck yeah, like this podcast is hitting, and it was kind of like a double thing because we had this new venue that was an old wrestling venue, Turner's Hall, and we're like, this is fucking like the perfect storm.
Well, I would even say we started to think about the podcast. That was in February. Well, in December we had Colt booked with the Chilean Championship or whatever. And like we were doing okay in this little church, and it was packed. And we're like, "Why are you here? We're here for Cabana. We're here for Cabana
and
Art of Wrestling."
Yeah, and you're getting fucking gifts and shit.
That was the Thanksgiving show, right?
Yeah.
Christmas.
Oh, Christmas.
Christmas.
The main event was the Potato versus Johnny Gargano.
Because you taped Dolph Ziggler there.
Right, I remember podcasting with Ziggler, and then I had lost it in my. At that time, I was like recording on this iPod that was hooked up through a thing with microphones, and full circle. It was lost on the iPod forever, I thought, and then I took it to Kevin Harvey, who's a Mac master, works at the Apple Store, who's helped putting on this Rise show, and he somehow found it.
Now you wanted to talk about if I was nervous about the fucking Road Diaries run coming out. I wasn't nervous. I was nervous about that Ziggler fucking interview coming out because I was hoping that there was going to be a couple plug skis in there because I knew that one was going to fucking get some good downloads.
Was there not?
There was some,
Okay.
there were some plugs in there.
I think our best plug of all time was The Miz saying he wanted to wrestle you in AIW, and then we met him and we said,
Not a fucking clue what AIW is.
yeah, we go, "Hey man, we're AIW where you want to wrestle Cabana." What?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Parma's very own?
He had no
we
fucking idea.
see Mr. Hero George a lot more than the Michael.
But yeah, fucking. So I guess in December we realized it, but then like in March,
February was like the exclamation point.
I think February, March, whatever it was. I think it was March.
Yeah, maybe.
And then like that place is fucking packed, and it's just like I think that's kind of like Cliff is a guy like we felt that was like almost like your like development, like you were running like almost like your own developmental system
Right.
through your podcast.
They
And it's
both
just-
were, I felt.
Yeah, and it's
Well,
just like here, like here's the fucking like that's why like even now like when we would try to book you, we would always try to add Cliff or something because it's kind of like Cabana and his like crew. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like your guys are like it's like the art of wrestling guys.
Well, that's what I like to me it was a platform not only for myself but to help my friends get over, right? And so like I felt like that's what number 2 was about, was like I felt like these were guys I helped get over and let the world know about, Gallows and Cliff. The only problem though, not the only problem, the difference is that Cliff is that Gallows is a born hustler, and you guys know that. And you saw that. So,
Yeah.
So Cliff kind of just, whatever comes. So like, I felt like I helped him out, and like all of a sudden he had this new thing, so he's like, oh yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. Whereas Gallows just needed just a little push, and then
he was off to the races.
he's off to the races.
Because I think our show is one of the first places Sex Ferguson was like in public.
Yeah,
right?
and I don't even know if he was referring to himself as Sex Ferguson.
Like the character itself.
I think he was.
Yeah, like I just know he was just like, I'm the good brother, I'm the good brother. And like,
And Ken Tuccio made him those T-shirts, those Good Brother T-shirts,
Yeah.
which I thought were going to take off. But like, Luke never saw money in the online hustle. That's the thing. Like he never.
He's like a kind of like
he's
a
like a
Southern
gimmick
guy.
table.
Yep.
Rock and Roll Express,
It was
get him at
always
the tables.
shows, and I was just like, man, I think you put these shirts online and you push them hard, but like he saw no value in like Twitter or YouTube or anything. Just totally at the shows, Ricky Morton style.
I mean, that's probably what he grew up loving or whatever. But my favorite memory from that day is, so whatever you guys are doing is happening. Like, I think like you were gonna get beat up by some heels and Cliff was gonna save you. You guys were gonna do a tag, and I'm like backstage at Gorilla, and Traxler's got his fucking shitty sound system, at the time.
The fucking
And, like,
worst.
Cliff is like super pumped to be at AIW for some reason, and he's just like, he is losing his mind backstage. He's like yelling at Traxler, getting himself psyched up. He's like, "Pump the fucking jungle, pump the fucking jungle, pump the fucking jungle, motherfucker!" And then like he's getting himself up, and then it's like, "Time to fucking die!" And
He's getting into it.
then he like runs out the curtain. I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" Like. That was the best thing I ever fucking saw, and it's not in the movie, but it's in the movie of my fucking brain. And it's the fucking, like, that is my fucking favorite fucking memory, like probably almost of all time in all promoting wrestling, because he was getting himself so amped up to get like probably just fucking for this movie. And
Yeah, because we had never met the guy, and he's just tweeting us like the whole week before. Can't wait to come to AIW. I've heard so much about you.
yeah, then like before you got in the movie, I just rewatched it this week, and he's just doing that delirious rant about how he's gonna make Cleveland, even if nobody else makes Cleveland. He's really excited for Cleveland.
He's a character, that Cliff.
But fucking, he just sent us a message the other day that he wants to be AIW's GM because he just wants to start coming around shows again. He says, "Yeah, guys think you make me a commissioner or something?"
After he did commentary at the jail, it almost got shut down because he was talking about labias and stuff on commentary.
I blame you for putting him on the mic. In the third one, we do commentary for that Tracy Smothers and Grado match, and I like to think I tried to keep him in check.
Yeah, he seems like it's kind of like you're kind of like Cliff Compton's dad, I think. Like he's well behaved when Colt's around, but like if Colt's over the gimmick table and he's out of your fucking line of sight, man, he's gonna be saying that girl's doing a move with her labia.
Funny thing about, you were saying about like the Road Diaries crew or the Art of Wrestling crew, somehow you've adopted anytime you're in Cleveland, Tracy Smothers is there.
Well, but who was my first adoption was
Southside
Sinclair, Baby Dick.
Who was in the first? Was he in the second one? Yeah, he was my
Yeah,
manager.
yeah, baby dick,
Yes.
baby.
And like oiling up with Pierre Abernathy in the basement of Turner's Hall.
And he's nowhere to be found these days.
He quit wrestling.
He's a
to be
stand-up comedian.
No, but
Stop
he quit that
it.
now. He quit to be a stand-up comedian, and now he just does nothing. And Traxler runs Mega Championship Wrestling, and I'll see him just every time at the pizza stand. And like I don't see him any other time. He's just standing around the concession stand.
He'll just make random appearances. My favorite baby dick star of Wrestling Road Diaries 2 story is one time someone was really hurt at an AIW show, like bleeding, and he goes, "Oh, get out of the way! I work at a hospital." And like everyone's like moving, thinking he's a doctor, and they're like, "What's wrong with-"
And I knew what the truth was, so I go, "Shut the fuck up, man! You're a janitor."
But he was like that. He's just like a weird, strange. Fucking
Obviously,
guy.
that's why I adopted him.
Oh yeah, like as you, I think you like gravitate towards the fucking weirdo.
I love him, man. That was like my show. When I got that Rolling Stones article, like a bunch of production companies hit me up and they wanted to talk about like wrestling show ideas. And that was like, or TV show ideas, and that was one I pitched. I was like, I just want to go. And you guys know because Rompin' Stompin' Rodney Romp was my number one.
Who made his last appearance after years? He disappeared for years. Showed up at the whole shebang. He's not doing too well.
He was in the first one though. He was in the first
Yeah,
Road
he's
Diaries.
the
got
monkey,
he's
the
got
stuffed
that
monkey.
He's got that monkey. With
Yeah, he is one. Like literally, I think that was like when I realized I love the weirdos that come to independent wrestling.
The weirdest weirdo is somebody who you taped for Road Diaries 1 and it never aired. It was the guy that pulled down his pants and he had he had tattooed a vagina around his asshole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one didn't make the bonus disc, huh?
Oh.
You have that footage
I
somewhere?
don't. Eric Santa Maria's got it somewhere. I don't have it, but yeah, I do remember that. Who was that guy?
Some guy.
Just
I
some
don't-
fucking guy goes, "Hey man, you want to see something cool for your movie?" He had a vagina
Oh, my
tattooed on his
God,
asshole.
He did.
That's the weirdest thing ever.
Oh, I wish that footage is somewhere. That's great.
I don't think you could put that on YouTube.
But I remember being all about it, being like, yeah, and then just being like, this is Of course,
over the line.
No, I was like, this is what happens at these shows. Like, only in these shows is this something that happens.
Only in independent wrestling does a man show you his asshole and it's tattooed his vagina.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, so fucking just tons of fucking weirdos like Southside Sinclair, Rompin' Stompin' Ronnie Rob, the loudest mouth this side of the Mason-Dixon line.
He was a manager until he got sick.
Yeah.
Once he told me he managed me, but I had never met him before 2009.
Yeah, he would have. Colt, remember when I managed you?
Colt, I remember when you came down to the Armory 15 years ago and you wrestled that Ace Steel guy and you fucking...
It wasn't even. He would like tell me about like Lou Marconi or like... It was just like names before my time, he would say.
That's my trainer, man. Beef Stew Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm like Lou, but I'm just saying, like, it's just like I never did shows with Lou Marconi or even like guys before him. Like, so it was just like...
Handsome Frank Stiletto?
Yeah, it was like stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't know these guys. So yeah. Anything else from the second one?
I'm sure.
I think it was just pretty much like, it was cool having those guys around and Cliff, stayed around. We never got Gallows again.
Yeah, Cliff fucking. I remember Cliff worked his fucking ass off. You guys did like a 6-man tag or something, and Cliff is just fucking in there the whole fucking time, going nuts, doing fucking Jimmy Superfly splashes and shit.
Because Gallows couldn't wrestle and he was hurt, and I remember just being like, as a quote unquote director or whatever I was, producer, I was like, fuck man, just like
get out there and do something.
I need you to just drive to these towns. And like when he went to the hospital, I was like, everything's gonna be fucked, and like. And I remember him feeling bad for me, like being like knowing that he was gonna like fuck up like this whole filming because we had shows to go do and we had a podcast to do. The reason why it went wrong was he just didn't elevate it, so he was just walking around. Like had he just elevated the thing,
Oh, it looked awful.
yeah, because there's no blood. Like he just needed to elevate it, and once he did, it all went away. But
Oh my god!
I do like think that's such a great story though throughout the movie is like like the drama of him trying to continue to make his name and then like he's like fucked with his dumb injury. I will say Biggins and I like the whole time, he's there. He's just talking about he's gonna go back to the show, and we're like, yeah, okay, man.
Well, I mean, we'll reveal it now, but two guys swore to me and Thorne at different times in AIW, I'm going back to WWE, and we just came. Okay, whatever, man.
Yeah,
two men, Festus, Luke Gallows, and Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins swore, I'm going back to WWE.
I don't know 100% I'm going back. He would say that all the time.
I've never talked to them since I left, but I know one day they're going to bring me back.
He goes, I go, do you think you're ever going to go back? He goes, I 100% know I'm going back.
yeah, I did too.
I didn't. You just don't think like
He was such. It's just the way that place works. Something weird will happen, and fucking Rich Swann just shows up on television. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
Sometimes Vince just wants a guy to talk out of his butt.
yeah, right. So he left on such good terms. He was such a good company man that I knew that something would just pop up and he'd be back.
I just remember
I think he fits there a lot more than the independents, especially for like the fans.
Yeah, he's like I think he's like a custom made TV guy, but I did not think that he was gonna go back, or if he was gonna go back, it was gonna be so soon. And like the whole time Gallows is there for Wrestling Road Diaries 2, he's adamant that he knows 100% he's going back. And I was just like, I don't know, man. We'll see.
Well, he's there.
Because at that time it was just like you got fired and then you just you just faded away into oblivion. So it was just like it's kind of like a hard thing to be like, yeah, for sure you're going back.
Yeah, but I think as these guys grow and they just you need to give them years so they kind of mature and become different people.
I honestly I attribute you tapping into his fucking personality, through your podcast or whatever, and maybe making him comfortable or whatever to expose himself and show personality, because I think that's kind of what made him excel in Japan, and then he starts doing all the fucking viral shit online, and I think all that kind of like just brought him to the fucking like forefront of like, hey, like look at this guy, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll take it. I'll take it.
We'll give you credit for one thing. All your other stuff's us. But
There you go. And then the third one just came out. I've been shipping it. It's on digital. You can get it digital, Colt.com, coltmerch.com. I sent you guys a copy. You guys both saw it. You said, I hope you liked it. I think.
I honestly
Sanjay said this was his favorite.
I think it's the best one of the series, honestly. Like I didn't, again, I didn't know how I was gonna go, with the Kikutaro, who can barely speak English, and Grado, who can speak English but you can't understand him.
Who can barely speak English.
so like I'm like, I don't know how this one's gonna go, because I love the first one so much. Like, it's kind of like any movie that you love. It's just like no sequel is ever gonna top that. So kind of in my head, I'm just like, this is gonna be cool. I love being in it, but like, I don't think this is gonna be as good as the first one.
But it's all about the magic, man. Jack Ettinger is a magic man.
Like,
Just the way he knows how to put stuff together.
I watched it. I watched it twice back to back, and I was just like, this is. Like, I can't believe how good it is, and I can't believe how like it ends, and I'm just like, holy shit, I want so much more. But like, it flows so good, like it goes by so fast.
I would almost say, not to sound sappy, but it's beautiful. Like that opening, just like independent wrestling, like this is what Thorne and I have done our entire lives. Like, we've never been anywhere else other than independent wrestling. And like, I almost teared up a little bit at the beginning of that movie, because like it's a music, it's sappy music, and this is independent wrestling.
There was like a trailer for the second one, if you remember, and there was like this guy mopping a floor in a lucha mask.
Yeah.
And like, for me, that like, it's the same way that you look at it, and there's that music
like
behind
the
it.
tractor and the hot dogs, and
but that mainly that guy mopping up in the lucha mask is
Tex
just like,
Tex on his lawnmower or whatever. Tex, you think?
old Tex McKenzie, or old Tex McKenzie, somebody else. But I understand like what you're saying. Like, when something's like put with beautiful music, it's just like
like the first one is like what I loved about independent wrestling as a fan, like these fucking guys that are like the top independent dudes fucking going around. But now, like, as a promoter or whatever, like the third one, I'm just like, this is the fucking true experience. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it's like. Like, you're driving around, you're going to these small little buildings, like people are boiling hot dogs, like
Monsoon Classic.
Yeah, like I no bullshit. I love when you're during the AIW portion, and like there's just a clip of fucking Monsoon Classic boiling hot dogs, and I'm just like, this is like, that is fucking independent wrestling. Like, I feel like that's something in 2016 that's becoming kind of like a lost art, because everyone wants to go out and buy all these lights and make this mini WWE production, and it's just like, you're never gonna fucking be that. You're not gonna out WWE.
Well, I've been saying
WWE.
a lot of stuff is just like, like the more money, everyone's like, some of these like
lights don't sell tickets, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Some of these places are like, some of these interviews that I've been doing are just like, now that money's coming in and WWE's investing and blah blah blah. Like, it must be really bringing it up. And I was just like, yeah, like some of them are, but also, like some of the groups are smart that are just keeping it. Like, I was like, Reseda, like Super Dragon just wants 400 people in that little crappy place with cheap beer, and like that's
independent wrestling,
punk rock.
man.
That's
like,
what I
that
said.
is independent wrestling.
Well,
to
like
me.
I'll give an example. This year I went to a show, because I go to like I would say almost every weekend with the students, or some just by myself. I go and set up merch or whatever. I go almost every weekend somewhere. And there was a show, and you would think it was WWE. It ran like a basketball court. It had lights, like a Titantron, all this music, all these speakers, and it drew 50 people in this like 1,200 seat arena.
Oh God!
And like, you know what I mean? Like, they forgot the in-ring and in-ring sells tickets.
Like, and they not even the in-ring. There's just the grassroots about it all. You know what I mean? Like, there's just something so special about independent wrestling. So,
and people forget, like, lights don't sell tickets. The music system doesn't sell tickets. Like,
well, we know that with
you ever get that trans money?
Never.
But like, so in part 3, I feel like that it really kind of captures it, because like there are no Ring of Honors in part 3 or anything like that. Like
a guy delivers a pizza to you while you're sitting in the crowd.
Isn't
like,
that
that's
great?
the greatest thing ever.
Isn't that great?
And like,
I told him we got to figure out that system.
And like, you deal with the heckler, and and that's a true thing. You know what I mean? You're gonna encounter that anywhere. Like some of these bigger independents or whatever. People are the fans are too respectful, or you know what I mean? Like that is true independent wrestling.
Yeah.
Some fucking dude that just wants to be a dick.
Well, I love that Jack kept that in, and it was hard for me to hard for my ego for him. Like, I knew he had to keep it in, and I was like, as it was happening, I was like, no, fuck, this is ruining it. But
I think that like showed your vulnerability.
Let me say that.
Yeah. Sorry,
I was saying
Stepping on his line.
no, but I thought it was important that it wasn't just the like, as it was happening, I was like, you're ruining this. But then like, I realized how important it was that to keep that in, to show like, not only show the match that Kiko and I had at AIW was one of the best matches maybe I've ever had. It was just so great. And like that's like it's almost like a best of, but this isn't a best of. It's a documentary.
Yeah.
So I wanted like the idea that like then there's also the worst of, which was these two hecklers ruining my match basically. And I thought that was very important that it showed both sides of it.
And like I think it kind of like humanized you. You know what I mean? And because it is your project. You know what I mean? You could very well, you know, you're the producer. You're the fucking 100% the man. You know, you could have easily cut that, and it could have still been a great documentary. But I think that specific part showed like such like just a human aspect to you. You know what I mean? As you know,
we're performers.
Well, and people know you. You're more approachable through the podcast, things like that. But like even still, people don't get to see that part. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna be able to live that part. You talk about
Like,
this guy was an asshole to me at this show. You know,
pro wrestlers
you can't see that.
are so like image conscious. Like I think most people have like. You were taking wrestler ABC from a random indie, and you go, we're making a documentary about 3 shows you're doing this weekend. Like, I think they would cut that out and be like, oh, this is just to make me look good.
Yeah. So
but like you're like
that was a
showing
big
the
part of it
reality
that you guys took
Oh,
away from
like
it?
I like to me like that's one of the most memorable parts. You know, like because it shows that you know you are a human. You have to deal with these things. You have to kind of think on the fly, and you can get flustered, and that could throw your whole fucking day off. You know, you're only wrestling for 10 minutes or whatever, but like me watching that knew that fucking bothered you for way longer than 10 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you could tell like when you're walking around in the parking lot and you know, you're like, fuck, you know, I swore so much. Like I feel like not like it that I think that showed, you know, fans or people that don't know about, you know, performing or being wrestlers or whatever that like, you know, after you leave the ring and you're out of the spotlight, shit still affects you.
Right, we're not just driving home and like it's
yeah,
all
like you're like fuck you, I got paid. You know,
Right,
like
yeah.
like that is eating you up.
Well, maybe that'll be a nice little like not wake up call, but like maybe fans will see. But you were like you just said that you didn't like that the fans were too respectful now some days. So
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that's the true experience that
Right.
you as a performer get because you're gonna do these shows and you're gonna get these respectful fans. But the reality of it is you're gonna go do fucking bumfuck show in you know wherever
St.
Indiana
Louis,
or Wisconsin. And, you know, there's going to be some dudes that don't know anything about Colt Cabana or independent wrestling, and they just want to be like, fuck you, man. You know, like, and you got to figure out how to deal with that.
yeah, well, I think maybe hopefully that will be a thing that people can take away from this last one is you know, and that's always the point is like I want the fans to see everything kind of behind the scenes, how like instead of just in the ring. And yeah, maybe this is a new thing, a new aspect they can
like
take from it.
you know, like he was saying about you leave and you still feel it. Like I think we're the same way with like running a show. Like the fans see one thing, but in our heads we're like, man, I wish that would have been better. And like the fans might accept it, but like we're thinking, shit, like
Yeah,
that
like-
could have been like way better.
Yeah,
or,
like as promoters, like we'll beat ourselves up over things that don't go right or don't go or go right but could be better and or things that are just totally out of your control. You know what I mean? And people will be like, oh, they're fucking asshole promoters, man. They're rolling in all this fucking money, you know. And it's just like the reality of it is like no, like there is so much like that affects you emotionally, being involved in wrestling.
And me and him, Thorne and I talk all the time about, you look at Reddit, you look at message boards, you look at emails, and especially tweets, and there'll be 100 people going, Colt Cabana is the greatest wrestler ever. And then there's that one fucking guy that was like, he's a dick. You know what I mean?
You remember the fucking negative shit more than the positive shit.
Yeah, of course.
Like
it's hard to ride the happy train, man.
Yeah, stealing another fucking bit of
That's
yours,
his
man.
new thing. I have the happy bus. He has the happy train.
But and on top of that, I love that because so we did the first two, you know what I mean, and like it's still, even in two, like we're still like growing as promoters in a promotion, and like things are still not where we want them to be. And finally, by this third one, I felt like we were like, okay, we want to put our best foot forward for this movie. Like, we didn't like it wasn't about getting like some local guy like a rub or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're gonna wrestle Cabana in this movie or whatever. Like now we're just like, okay, this is the third one. Like, let's put our best foot forward. It's just like, let's book Cabana and Kikutaro. You know what I mean? Because
and we know who booked Grado versus Smothers. That's all me.
yeah, but we thought, okay, what could be the biggest fucking weirdest spectacle that could be in this movie? And it's going to be Grado versus Tracy Smothers. Like, there's nothing, like, I was confident that nobody else, no matter what promotions were involved, was going to book something weirder than that. And it was fucking weird.
And, like, a couple fans did complain. They're like, why aren't you booking them in 3 matches against, like, some of your guys to get in the movie? But, like, we were more thinking, like, what would be a more well-rounded, like...
What's going to make the movie better? Like, what's... You know,
so basically, we're 100% responsible for how good Road Diaries is.
But like, it was kind of like, you know, the first one, you know, like you got the Danielson and Gargano match, which could have gone either way, I guess. You know what I mean? And like, you know, you wrestled Jimmy DeMarco, who faded away, you know, and then like the second one, you know, you guys wrestle like Chest Flexor and Bobby Beverly, who kind of fade out of AIW. So like now it's just like, let's stop worrying about
getting over.
Like some guy in there and trying to do a favor for like one of our friends or someone we're trying to help out. It's just like, let's figure out like what's going to be best for the movie, because if it's something good for the movie, it's going to be, you know, it's going to showcase
really
it's going to emphasize AIW even more. You know what I mean?
Like, we'll there'll be a lot of footage on it,
right, and it's going to get us more screen time and like, you know, stuff like that.
Benefits both of us.
So like, we're like, fuck it, man. Like, yeah, let's do Cabana versus Kikutaro, like, because that's going to be what is going to make for the best part of the movie. And, you know, I didn't think that anyone else would do it on the loop, you know. Maybe it was planned or maybe it wasn't, but I was just like, let's do that because that's going to be good for the movie. And then, you know, we had been wanting to do Grado versus Tracy Smothers for years.
I mean, that was on the books for the Grado Does America weekend.
Yeah. So we're like, fuck it, let's do it. And we know for sure that is going to be weird because Tracy is, who knows what he's going to do. And like, that's another thing I love about part 3 is like when you're backstage and you're like, you show that human side of Tracy where he was just like, you know, being the normal Tracy that all the boys know and the promoters know. And like, you know, he's just talking, you know, about, you know, why he does what he does and everything. And it's just like, people just, you know, there's people that hate when we book Tracy Smothers at AIW because they know he's going to talk for 45 minutes and they don't get it. Like, him and I love it because everything he says, we fucking, like, we just laugh at. And we know that, like, he's just fucking around. You know, that's his shtick or whatever.
Well, those are his bumps.
Right. And, like, I love that you kind of talk to him about that.
Him.
And, like, he, you know, he explains, like, hey, you know, 1996 or whatever, you know, like, Rey Mysterio was around, so I had to fucking figure something else out. And, you know, now he's probably, I don't know, fucking 60s or late 50s, and, you know, he's still...
He's up there, but I don't know.
I don't know about 60s.
50s
I'd say
at least.
early 50s.
50s at least.
Or even late 40s. But one of my favorite parts of all 3 of the movies, I don't know, I'm not going to spoil it, but involved his keys. It was literally one of the favorite.
Well,
and then his watch.
I've never told the story on the podcast, but Tracy and I became friends because I attended a Cleveland All Pro show in 2005 at Turner's Hall, and Tracy Smothers was abandoned because he locked his keys in the car, and everybody, all the boys and all the fans left. So I sat with him for 5 hours in a blizzard.
In the middle of winter, yeah.
It was a blizzard because AAA, he called AAA, and AAA's just like, keys locked in the car.
JT
like,
didn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
man.
JT's like, I got to deliver bread in the morning. Sorry. So, like, I sat with Tracy for 5 hours, and since then, Tracy finally...
Tell him what he did. He bought you dinner.
Well, yeah. Tracy goes, man, Chris, I'm really hungry. Let's go get a bite to eat. So I'm like, dude, there's like 2 miles away, there's this diner. He goes, I don't want to go to a diner. Take me to that corner store. So he goes, what do you want? I go, give me like an iced tea. I'm not really hungry, but, you know, just give me an iced tea because he ran in. He comes back out with a water for him, and he goes, man, you need something healthier than iced tea. I got you a bag of Doritos. I go, I'm not even hungry. I wanted something to drink.
Drink this bag of Doritos.
But since then, no matter what, he'll always come up and hug me and go, Chris, man, I got my keys tonight.
Well, that's I won't spoil it. Yeah, he loses his keys, and you'll have to see the movie to see where they are.
But yeah, I think it's by far my favorite. I think, you know, it just it kind of shows that you grew also as like a filmmaker or producer. You know, like I think this is like, it's nice. It flows good. It's not too much. It's not too little. It's probably the perfect length, and I think it shows so many just kind of different stories, and really I think is gonna open people's eyes in America more to Grado especially.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I said this while doing media, is that for some, like, Grado became a hit and a cult favorite because of the Vice documentary and the BBC documentary. It wasn't because of his wrestling. His wrestling's shit.
Yeah.
So when TNA just put him on TV and was just like, here's this wrestler, it's like, no, like, you gotta like not humanize him, but you gotta it's gotta be documentary.
Yeah,
that's where he shines.
Like, you got to explain his like backstory,
or let him explain his backstory through like just showing
Talking,
the life
yeah.
of. Yeah, and so
like they just toss him on TV, and then Dave Meltzer goes, "This guy doesn't deserve to be on Slammiversary."
right, exactly.
Oh,
And
man,
Dave,
he's pissed about that.
but Dave, he might be right, but because he didn't see the Vice documentary, the BBC
Right, like,
documentary.
This guy drew 5,000 people at the fucking Hydro.
The Hydro.
So like hopefully that. Again, this is his American
Because
documentary.
because I feel like the Vice thing or the BBC thing or whatever. Like I feel like you have to like really seek that out unless you fucking live in Scotland or whatever. Like I know Sonjay Dutt turned us onto it.
Right.
And, like
Well, it's Sanjay Dutt and you. It was
Yeah.
you two.
Sanjay
were,
turned me onto it.
yeah, you two were like the guys. Like, oh, you got to check this guy out, and then I became obsessed.
Of course.
Like, I got to meet this guy.
So I think, and Kikuta's moving to America now. It's his dream.
yeah, like now going back and like watching that again, I'm like, fuck man, we got to book Kikutaro because I remember he said I'll be in America in 1 year.
And here we do. We put it out. I'm putting this DVD out 1 year later. Kiku's just about to come.
But like I
think in
forgot
December.
how fucking good that match was, because like we run shows and you just forget, and then watching it through the movie, and then how you guys explain the different things and fucking how it all comes together.
I told every AIW student that they needed to buy it, number one, so you like us more, and number two, the psychology stuff of, and I won't give examples because I don't want to give it away, but there's so many like things that you're like, oh, impromptu, this changed the whole flow of the match, and like the biggest thing that we try to install in the students is like, if you go from point A to point B, there might be a detour, and you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready for anything. And I thought that was an interesting thing. I know you're not, you don't like to do too much inside baseball stuff, and you like your stuff, but I thought that was a super interesting thing, especially for fans to realize, like, the hecklers changed the flow, the pizza changed the flow,
Right.
And I don't want to give anything else.
Yeah,
away,
like I, now that he said that, like I found that part almost fascinating because I know wrestling and all this other stuff, but then how you break it down throughout the movie, like you guys are cutting back to where you're just talking and kind of planning the match and then showing it, in action, and then just the way you break the whole fucking thing down.
Well,
like,
that's Jack Ettinger though. He was great at that. He edited it all together, and that was kind of his. I mean,
yeah, I thought the flashbacks were
yeah,
awesome.
and when I first saw it too, I was like, Jack, like that was the best, and he was like, thanks,
yeah, I really fucking, I can't say enough good about it. I didn't think, I even love part 2, but I didn't like it better than part 1. Part 1 was like, I loved part 1, and now, like, I don't think anything's gonna ever top part 3 because fucking, like, it's just such, like, I don't know, like, it's such just like a magical story, like Kikutaro, like, I knew nothing about that fucking guy. Like nothing at all. I knew what he did and what he was, but
Right.
I never seen.
Well,
him
part
wrestle.
4 is I'm touring around with AIW. We're doing all of Ohio.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Fuck, man. You like if
We're
you
just
go
taking it on tour.
if you go and negotiate the deals, man, we're in.
Yeah.
Give me some Bomba Sox money.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. That's my. Those are my movies, and AIW had a huge part in all of them.
ColtMerch.com,
Like-
digitalcolt.com.
Seriously, like we're like that's one of like the kind of badge of honors that we have is just like there's not a lot like there's so much stuff that goes wrong with wrestling and it has so much ups and downs, but being featured in all 3 of those movies and like just how much we love documentaries and wrestling documentaries, that's like something that no matter what, like even if we fucking close down and stop doing wrestling, like that's something
Like, we
that
have
we're
a legacy.
and, like we're proud to have been a part of all 3 of those movies because nobody else could say that.
So mine are 1, 2, and 3. They're available at ColtMerch.com. But also, these shows are full DVDs.
Yeah, full DVD. Like, you don't get the full match in the documentary,
Right.
In any of them, but they're all.
And I have to announce. We'll go ahead and then.
Oh, okay.
I have an announcement.
I was gonna say, but if you want to see, all these matches, in full from Wrestling Road Diaries 1, 2, and 3, they're all available at shop.aiwrestling.com.
At a 3-pack for $25, Chandler Biggins out the door special.
What were do you remember the shows and the dates? or no?
Double-edged sword. It was September something 2009.
I want to say maybe 13th.
Okay.
Okay.
That's maybe
September 16th, maybe? It was
Yeah.
September 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That was Double-Edged Sword in Sandusky, Ohio. Gauntlet for the Gold 7 at Turner's Hall, March something.
I'm going to say March 18th. That's a guess, though.
2012, 2013?
Maybe 13.
Okay. And then No Sleep Till Brooklyn. which was December 5th of last year.
Yeah.
So
And-
I buy
and-
them all.
That going in the theme of us being in Wrestling Road Diaries, we couldn't find a venue for that one either, and we had already had you booked, and that's why we wound up at that weird little building.
I thought that building was great.
Oh, like it was
It's
it was
perfect
great.
for wrestling.
It was fucking real expensive, but it was
Oh,
great.
was it?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's more than Mount Carmel that we normally
Yeah,
run.
it's more than
because
like.
it's per hour. Where Mount Carmel, we pay the guy at the beginning of the day, and then he never comes
But
back.
like I thought that gave such a cool vibe, though. You know what I mean? Like
it was a great building. It was one of my favorite buildings.
yeah, it was like it was
it
so
was
intimate.
packed.
It was
And
so
it was
packed.
and then they built the building like Noah's Ark, so the wood ceiling just made the noise like
Yeah.
10 times more
Like
than
great
it was.
acoustics, and like it was so packed. Like all we could do was like hang a fucking curtain up, which I fucking loved. Like I loved that it was just like it looked just like generic indie wrestling. Like I don't.
Our entranceway guys were having like a panic attack. We're like, this is wrestling, man.
Yeah, like we got these fucking two dads that come and want to build stages and all this bullshit.
And
like
I don't
that-
think they've ever been independent wrestling
that's what
other
you-
than like us. So.
That's fine, but man, I'll settle for a fucking Ian Rotten doorway, dude. Especially in a fucking documentary, because that's what I want to see when I watch a fucking wrestling documentary. I want it to look like a fucking black curtain, fucking just people jammed in there, fucking no lighting or anything, just the house lights. Like I loved how AIW looked at that movie, even though that's not how we normally look at Mount Carmel. I loved the presentation of that.
It was great.
Beauty.
Well, I just got to say, we're going to wrap it up here. But I just want to thank you for all you've done over the years.
Colt, you got any plugs?
You're supposed to say, Colt, where you at on
Well,
the
I was trying to get emotional. I was just trying to say thank you for all you've done. You've been one of the people that have probably helped us the most in professional wrestling.
I believe in AIW.
And throughout the years, I can't think of how many times you've helped us. It's been so many.
Oh yeah, it's like you can't even count us. But like even when we didn't, I don't know, like deserve it or know even what kind of like help
Stuff
that you were
giving
giving
us.
us at the time, like just so like it's too many occasions to count.
I weirdly liked you guys for some reason. I don't know what it is.
You were one of the
and I
few.
still do.
You were one of the few.
There's
Especially
only one time I think you got mad at me, and it was about a casino, but we won't talk about that.
Oh no.
I don't know if I remember that one.
Oh, we'll talk about it
We'll
off
talk
the
about
air.
that off air. I was real scared that the Cabana train was pulling out of the station.
I yelled at him too.
On the internet, listen to my podcast, The Art of Wrestling. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, and by the DVDs.
Yeah, I can't. I honestly can't say enough about Wrestling Road Diaries 3. Like it's a fucking like a masterpiece of a film, and that's 100% legit and genuine. Like I've watched it 2 times back to back while I was at work.
Beautiful. The perfect time to watch it.
And I don't know if you know how to end a podcast, but I will now. Thanks.
Oh fuck, man, that's weird that you do it in front of him.
So weird.
That was like a cuckold thing.
Thanks.